Welcome to Trending Update USA, I'm Stefan, and today we're asking a bigger question than just what happened on the court. What does it really mean when a global tennis star pauses, steps off the competitive grind, and simply connects with the people who cheer for her? Because this week, Coco Gauff wasn't just playing matches at the Miami Open, she was making the rounds, meeting fans, signing autographs, sharing smiles, and creating moments that don't show up on the scoreboard. On the surface, it looks simple. A young star engaging with her hometown crowd. But when you step back and look deeper, it reveals something much more complex about modern sports, fame, pressure, and the human side of elite athletes. Let's start with what actually happened. Between matches and media obligations, Gauff spent time interacting closely with Miami fans, taking photos, signing memorabilia, and acknowledging the support that has followed her rise. This isn't unusual in professional tennis, especially at a tournament like Miami where local connections run deep. Gauff, being from Florida, carries a unique bond with this event. But what stood out wasn't just the act itself, it was the authenticity of it. The way she lingered. The way she seemed present, not rushed. The way fans reacted, not just excited, but genuinely moved. And that's where the story begins to shift from what happened to why it matters. In today's sports world, moments like these carry a different weight than they did even 10 years ago. Athletes are no longer just competitors. They are public figures navigating a constant stream of visibility. Every smile, every interaction, every gesture is captured, shared, and analyzed. So when Gauff steps into a crowd and gives her time, she's not just meeting fans, she's stepping into a space where performance and personality blur together. There's a delicate balance here. On one side, fans want access. They want connection. They want to feel close to the athletes they admire. On the other side, athletes are human beings with limits, emotional, mental, and physical. And in a sport like tennis, where the schedule is relentless and the pressure is deeply individual, that balance becomes even harder to maintain. Think about the timing. The Miami Open isn't just another stop on the tour. It's high profile, heavily covered, and emotionally charged, especially for a player like Gauff. She's not just competing, she's representing a home crowd, carrying expectations, and dealing with the narrative that follows her everywhere. Every match matters. Every performance is scrutinized. And yet, in the middle of all that, she chooses to engage. That decision tells us something important. It suggests a level of awareness, not just of her role as a player, but as a figure within a larger ecosystem of fans, media, and culture. It also hints at something deeper, the need for connection in a sport that can often feel isolating. Tennis is unique in its solitude. There's no bench to sit on with teammates, no coach guiding you mid-match, no shared responsibility when things go wrong. It's just you, your opponent, and your thoughts. That kind of environment builds resilience, but it can also amplify pressure. And when you add global attention to that equation, the mental load becomes even heavier. So moments like these, where Gauff steps out of that competitive bubble and into a human interaction, can actually serve as a kind of reset. A reminder of why she started playing in the first place. A reminder that beyond rankings and results, there are people who simply appreciate the effort, the journey, the presence. But let's not romanticize it too much. There's also a cost. Every interaction takes energy. Every smile, every conversation, it all adds up. And in a digital age where those moments are instantly shared, the line between genuine connection and public expectation becomes blurry. Fans might see a warm, approachable athlete. But behind that, there's a schedule, a recovery plan, a mental routine that's constantly being interrupted. This is where the conversation shifts into something more complex, the role of social media and constant exposure in shaping athlete behavior. In the past, a moment like this might have stayed within the confines of the stadium. A few photos, maybe a local news mention. But today, it becomes content. Clips circulate on platforms, captions are written, narratives are built. And suddenly, what was a simple interaction becomes part of a larger story about who Gauff is. Not just as a player, but as a person. That can be powerful. It allows athletes to control their image, to connect directly with fans, to build a brand that goes beyond performance. Gauff, in particular, has shown a strong understanding of this space. She communicates thoughtfully, presents herself authentically, and uses her platform in a way that feels intentional. But it also creates pressure. Because once fans get used to that level of access, it becomes an expectation. If you're warm and engaging one day, you're expected to be the same the next, even if you've just lost a tough match, even if you're exhausted, even if you simply need space. This is the hidden side of visibility. The part that doesn't get talked about as often. The idea that being available can slowly become a requirement rather than a choice. And for young athletes like Gauff, who have grown up in the era of social media, this dynamic is even more intense. There's no real separation between public and private life. Everything overlaps. Everything is potentially visible. So when we see her making time for fans in Miami, it's worth asking, how does she navigate that balance? How does she decide when to give and when to protect her own space? We don't have a direct answer, but we can observe patterns. Gauff tends to engage in ways that feel controlled, intentional. She's present, but not overwhelmed. Open, but not exposed. And that suggests a level of maturity that goes beyond her years. It also speaks to a broader shift in how athletes approach their careers. The modern player isn't just focused on winning matches, they're managing a personal ecosystem that includes media, branding, mental health, and public interaction. It's a lot to handle, especially in a sport where performance is already so demanding. And this brings us back to the fans. Because at the heart of this story is a simple truth: fans matter. Their energy, their support, their presence, it all contributes to the atmosphere of the sport. For many, meeting a player like Gauff is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's a memory that stays with them long after the tournament ends. But the relationship between fans and athletes is evolving. It's becoming more interactive, more immediate, more complex. And that means both sides need to adapt. Fans need to recognize the humanity behind the athlete, the need for rest, privacy, and boundaries. Athletes, in turn, are learning how to engage in ways that are meaningful but sustainable. Gauff's moment in Miami sits right at the intersection of these dynamics. It's a snapshot of what modern sports looks like when it's working well, when connection happens without overwhelming the individual at the center of it. It's also a reminder that not everything important happens during a match. Sometimes, the most impactful moments are the quiet ones, the conversations, the smiles, the shared experiences that don't come with a trophy but still carry meaning. And in a way, these moments can influence performance more than we realize. Feeling supported, feeling connected, feeling appreciated, these are powerful motivators. They can shape an athlete's mindset, their confidence, their approach to the game. At the same time, they can also add pressure. Because when you know how much people are invested in you, the stakes feel higher. Every match becomes more than just a competition, it becomes a reflection of that connection. This is the paradox of modern sports. The same connection that lifts athletes up can also weigh on them. Gauff seems to understand this balance. She engages, but she doesn't overextend. She connects, but she maintains composure. And that's not something that happens by accident. It's a skill, developed over time, shaped by experience, and guided by awareness. As we look ahead, this kind of awareness will become increasingly important, not just for Gauff, but for the next generation of athletes. Because the landscape isn't getting simpler. If anything, it's becoming more demanding, more visible, more interconnected. And that's why moments like this matter. They give us a glimpse into how athletes are adapting. How they're finding ways to stay human in an environment that often pushes them toward being symbols, brands, or headlines. They remind us that behind every performance is a person navigating a complex world, one that includes not just opponents and rankings, but expectations, attention, and constant interaction. So the next time you see a clip of Gauff signing autographs or taking photos with fans, it's worth pausing for a second. Not just to appreciate the moment, but to think about everything behind it, the choices, the pressures, the balance. Because in that simple act of connection, there's a story about where sports is today, and where it's heading. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway here. This isn't just about tennis. It's about how we relate to public figures in a world where access is constant and boundaries are blurred. It's about understanding that connection is valuable, but so is space. That admiration is powerful, but so is empathy. Coco Gauff's time with Miami fans isn't just a feel-good moment. It's a reflection of a changing landscape, one where athletes are learning to navigate visibility without losing themselves in it. And if they can strike that balance, it doesn't just make them better players. It makes the entire experience of sports richer, more meaningful, and more human. Thanks for watching Trending Update USA. I'm Stefan, and we'll keep bringing you stories that go beyond the surface. Because sometimes, the real story isn't just what happens, but what it means.